This is RFD Today, a daily look at the key topics impacting rural Illinois. If you live in Illinois, we examine the issues impacting you, your income, and your community. Here's your host for today's program, Bill Oshanke.
Hey, good Tuesday to you, Illinois. Thanks for joining us for this adventure in broadcasting on the 2nd of April, Election Day. There's a big difference. Now, this is a small sample size. This is driving past my polling place today. A big difference between April and November. November, there's that distance restriction, but past that restriction, there's signage. I mean, everybody running for everything has 6 signs up. Today, there were 2 signs, both of them saying official polling place, and that was it. So it's a little more low-key, but still awfully important. And driving around, you see a sign about electing a mayor or re-electing a mayor, anything like that. Well, that's today. So we're mentioning that now so that you don't say at 7 o'clock, oh, I forgot about that. So Election Day across the state. Be sure to participate. On program today, we'll visit with folks at Farmers for Free Trade. We've been talking about free trade quite a bit of late. USMCA, China, and plenty of others as well. EU has come up and down in the news. Again, doesn't sound like that's going to take place, but we'll talk to Farmers for Free Trade in a little bit. Kirby Wagner, Illinois Farm Bureau, will talk about truck inspections. Everything we talk about with Kirby can get complicated. We'll try to figure all that in 6 minutes. Jim Mintert, Purdue University, the CME Group Ag Barometer, and we'll talk weather with the folks at the State Climatologist's office. All after this message with Rita and DuPont Pioneer.
We're going to check in Nashville with a field agronomist for Pioneer, Scott Eversgerd. And, Scott, here we are, the first week of April 2019. Let's get an update very first on rain over the weekend and how that Mississippi is looking.
Well, it looks like we've had anywhere from a half inch to 2 inches in most areas south of I-70, just kind of depending on where you're located at. The bigger threat, of course, just as you said, is the Mississippi River. You know, we're hearing a lot about the flooding that's happening in the west, the snowpack in the north and the west, and we're hearing people draw similarities to what happened in 1993. So we definitely don't need that to happen. That was a very, very bad deal. So hopefully we can stay away from that. The river can tame itself a little bit, and we can head into a good planting season here very shortly.
Yeah, we did hear stories of sandbagging, et cetera, et cetera. So you're probably hearing and seeing a lot of that going on.
Oh, yeah, especially over near St. Louis. You know, the levees over there, as of 93, when a lot of them were breached, they were repaired, but they weren't repaired much better than what they were the first time. So there's always that potential for, that river gets over 40 feet and bad things can happen.
So where you are in Nashville and the customer base that you serve, what are the soil conditions like for the rest of the geography? And kind of paint us the picture of where you cover.
So I cover an area basically south of 70 and west of I-57. So if we look at the area, say, outside of the river bottoms, once we get up into the bluff and come into the interior of southern Illinois, conditions are the ground's very wet. Now, here about a week ago before the rain, we did get a little bit of work done. Some dry fertilizer was spread. A little bit of herbicide was applied, but really a few guys tried some anhydrous ammonia, but it just wasn't quite there yet. Then it rained, of course, and we've kind of been wet ever since. The forecast looking better, seeing some 70s in the forecast, so if we can get those kind of temperatures in 4 or 5 days, good sunshine, you miss a rain shower, and we'll be ready to go to the field.
Now, you also, and we've heard other agronomists around the state also underline this, because of the conditions last fall, we know we sort of rutted some fields, got into some trouble, and that's sort of what a lot of folks are advising. We hope that doesn't happen too soon, to get out there.
Yeah, we've always got to be cautious when we get a spring that's maybe not as dry as we want it, and we tend, especially as the calendar keeps creeping through April, we'll tend to maybe jump out there a few days before we should. And what we found, and we all know, is we can create some season-long issues with compaction, with drainage, just with a lot of things, especially coming off a wet fall where some of those issues may already exist. And if we go out there and do it again in the spring, we can create some pretty poor growing conditions for the summer.
Scott Eversgerd with Pioneer. Shows how rutted I am into habits. I said DuPont Pioneer. I should have said Pioneer. But Scott is an agronomist in South Central Illinois. This is RFD today. Joining us on the phone right now, we welcome Brian Keel at Farmers for Free Trade. Brian, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Oh, you're welcome. Just as a reminder, what is the organization, who is it, and all those things?
Sure. So Farmers for Free Trade, we're a nonprofit, sort of an umbrella organization that works with ag businesses and ag organizations all around the United States on trade issues, promoting export markets for U.S. ag products. We're proud to have Illinois Farm Bureau as one of our flagship members. So we work a lot with Illinois Farm Bureau and farmers in Illinois, and have done multiple events in Illinois focusing on international trade.
Well, you just go, at least on my phone, I go to farmersforfreetrade.com, and I see several videos here, and I see some familiar faces as well in there. There's there's an Illinois Farm Bureau board member. There's a GrowMark board member. President of Illinois Beef Association is on there, and that's just a couple. So there's definitely some local stories voicing support.
That's right. One of the fun things that we've done as part of Farmers for Free Trade, we believe it's really important both to talk about the intricacies of trade, the numbers, the way trade works, but then also to boil it down to real stories about real people. We need to put a face of the farmer back on trade. So we have on our website at farmersforfreetrade.com, we have a portal called The Voice of the Farmer. Really easy. You can go to your computer or go to your phone. You can go to that website, farmersforfreetrade.com, and it's set up so that you can film a video from your computer or your phone, just a 30-second spot talking about why trade's important to you and your family. A lot of farmers have done that in Illinois, and then those videos show up on the website. They can get shared with others on social media. You can send them to your members of Congress. So a real easy way for you to talk directly about why trade benefits your farm and your crop.
Unfiltered, and doesn't have to be, big production or anything. Just here I am, and here's what we're going through.
That's exactly right. And the more personal, the better. We've got some great videos from farmers saying, I'm a third-generation farmer. My dad still works. My kids are working, and we raise beans, which are exported to China, and that's why trade's important to us. I mean, that's all you got to say is keep it simple and keep it really personal.
I feel like we really saw it Friday when USDA released its planting intentions report and showed the Dakotas were planning to raise 1.6 million more acres of corn because they can't move last year's soybeans because what's been going on with China of late. And so if they can't sell last year's beans, why would they plant this year's beans, which means more corn? So, we're seeing these things have ramifications the longer some of these trade discussions continue.
Boy, they sure do, and farmers are in a tough spot because on the one hand, maybe you shift over and plant corn instead of beans this year, but corn can be hit too. With the trade war with Mexico or with the steel and aluminum tariffs, there's not really a piece of agriculture nationwide that's not affected by these trade issues, and I think we're all hoping that better times are coming. Farmers are kind of optimistic by nature. You wouldn't be in this business if you weren't. But we got to see some progress on these fronts because people are hurting.
Yeah, it's such a challenge of, okay, we want to do this right, and we have obstacles to overcome that have been going on for years, and we understand that, but at the same time, we're getting into the second growing season with this going on. I remember the prices before Memorial Day last year, and we have not approached them since, and you could certainly put a correlation between the two.
Well, that's right, and it's important to remember, the way these things go, you kind of get used to them. When the trade disputes first started, everyone said, "Well, this is just leverage, and this will be over in a couple months." And then, people said, "Boy, if it lasts into harvest, that really is going to be unacceptable if this continues through harvest." Well, it continued through harvest, and at that time, it can't go into planting because we've got to make planting decisions. Well, we're now in planting. So, I think we all feel like this has to resolve. There are real issues that have to be addressed, But I think we need some wins, and one of the wins we can get and that we're pushing is passage of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. That's one that President Trump negotiated with Canada and Mexico. It needs to move through Congress. It's something tangible we can do that will create some certainty for us in trade, with Canada, our number one agricultural trading partner, and Mexico, our number 3 trading partner. So that's something tangible we can work on and feel good about if we can get it done.
Well, we're certainly talking about a lot of jobs, a lot of additional revenue, economic activity. Those sort of things are they're awfully important, whether it's in the central part of the U.S. or on the coast as well.
Absolutely true. And I think one part of the story we're trying to tell as Farmers for Free Trade is, it's about trade is important to production agriculture, but it's important to the entire food and agriculture supply chain. Food processors send huge amounts of food to Canada and other countries. Our equipment dealers, if production ag is down, the equipment dealers, the equipment manufacturers are down, then the main streets are down. This is all interconnected, and trade really is the underpinning of our farm economy. About 20% of farm revenue in the United States comes from exports.
Wow. Hang on just a second. We'll pick up that thought in just a bit. We have a commercial break coming up here, and we'll pick up that thought in just a moment. Brian Keel at Farmers for Free Trade, online, farmersforfreetrade.com. We'll pick up that thought in just a second on RFD Today.
RFD Radio Network's DeLoss Yankee connects rural routes for you. DeLoss delivers essential farm and food-related news to our listeners. His witty voice has been heard on the air for more than 2 decades. Here's a bit about his rural roots.
Growing up on a farm prepared me for my career. I try to know a little about a lot of things and let the people I interview be the experts. I've always wanted to be on the radio. I'm just happy to do what I enjoy.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Does the warmer weather have you itching for a weekend getaway? Take your Illinois Farm Bureau membership savings with you.
Farm Bureau members can save up to 20% at choice hotels, including favorites like Comfort Suites, Sleep Inn, Quality Inn and Suites, with even more to choose from.
Call 800-258-2847 or visit the Choice Hotels website to search all the hotels at once and to make advance reservations.
Contact your local County Farm Bureau for your discount code number.
You're going to need me.
You're going to need us.
All of us.
You're going to need our technical skills,
our math, our engineering skills.
You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food.
You're going to need our organizational skills, our problem-solving skills.
You're going to need our determination, our honesty, our compassion.
You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring.
And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Today, 4-H is growing the next generation of leaders. Support us at 4h.org.
Being around too much loud noise like a leaf blower or rock concert can cause permanent hearing loss. And once it's gone, you can't get it back. Hearing loss is the 3rd most common chronic health condition in the U.S. Almost twice as many people report hearing loss as diabetes or cancer. The louder a sound is, and the longer you're exposed to it, the more likely it will damage your hearing. Repeated exposure to noise can cause stress, anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, heart disease, and many other problems. Hearing loss from loud noise at home and in the community can be prevented. Avoid noisy places. Use earplugs, protective earmuffs, or noise-canceling headphones when near loud noises. Keep the volume down when watching TV or listening to music and using earbuds or headphones. Get your hearing checked and ask your healthcare provider how to protect your hearing from noise. To learn more, visit cdc.gov/vital signs.
40 years of horses, 40 years of legends. It's the Midwest Horse Fair.
Best horse fair in the nation right here.
This is fun for
their families because there's so many different aspects of horses that they can see.
And there's top-of-the-line clothing and apparel and boots and hats and ropes and trinkets and gifts. Shopping is off the charts here. I hope you guys are ready because this will get wild.
It's the great Midwest Horse Fair.
April 12th through the 14th at the Alliant Energy Center in Madison, Wisconsin. Visit MidwestHorseFair.com for more.
All right, welcome back. Brian Keel is on the phone at Farmers for Free Trade. We were talking about the economic activity, Brian, that is possible just through the ag import or imports and exports for that matter, but how important free trade can be to the ag economy.
Well, that's right, and I think we're talking about things every one of your listeners knows. When you think about U.S. agriculture, we know that it's the most productive and the most advanced in the world. We've got the best farm ground. We've got the best infrastructure to get our products to ports. We've got the best farmers and the most honest, hardworking folks in the world. And what the States doesn't have is most of the mouths in the world. 95% of the people in the world live outside the United States. So you think about that. There's a lot of mouths out there that we need to get our product to, and that's what trade is all about. It's about getting our food to their mouths and their tables. We literally feed the world, and we do it because of international trade.
I have a couple of stories of folks being hit on both sides by this as well. Just thinking about USMCA, and it seems like a deal that could be ratified, but the issue of tariffs looms before you can get to the free trade part.
Absolutely. So as your listeners may recall, one of the first salvos in this global trade war, and it really is a global trade war, one of the first salvos was the U.S. put tariffs on inbound steel and aluminum from virtually every country in the world. So anyone who is shipping us steel and aluminum, we said we're going to put a tariff or a tax on that steel and aluminum to try to make our domestic steel and aluminum manufacturers more competitive. So the government stepped in and put its finger on the scale in the market. And the other countries that are shipping us steel and aluminum, well, they didn't like that. They said that violates free trade principles. So they put tariffs on our products, in a lot of cases our ag products. So Mexico put tariffs on inbound pork and inbound apples and corn. Canada put tariffs on processed food coming into Canada. China put tariffs on initially sorghum and then other products, obviously, as part of the larger trade wars, soybeans and milk, et cetera. So, we really need to de-escalate the trade war. And in order to get USMCA, that trade agreement, through Congress, the steel and aluminum tariffs need to come off, because right now it doesn't make sense to pass a free trade agreement with Canada and Mexico, but then still have the steel and aluminum tariffs and the retaliatory tariffs between these three countries. We need to get back to a free trade bloc like we had just a couple years ago.
It's funny, this thing, as it continues to play, you have to remember how this even started in the first place sometimes.
That's right, and it gets complex because there's layers upon layers. I mean, we got the steel and aluminum tariffs, and then after sort of picking a trade war with countries all around the world, we turned our attention to China and said, well, we're concerned about China's intellectual property theft, which is a real issue and does need to be addressed, but we went at it alone. We didn't do it with a big coalition of other countries who we just put tariffs on. We said the U.S. is going to start putting tariffs on China to fix their behavior. So China put tariffs back on us, and because we were doing it alone, all the other countries in the world were happy with that situation. They're like, all right, the U.S. and China are in a trade dispute, and if China stops buying U.S. beans, well, Brazil will step up and sell more beans. And if China stops buying U.S. pork or other products, other countries will step in and start selling products. So the trade war really has hammered U.S. agriculture, and we got to get some resolution here.
Yes, toot sweet would be nice. Now, we mentioned the videos as well, and several, plenty of Illinois representation on that. If we do a video, just 30 seconds about why trade is important, then what do we do with that so that so you guys can share it?
That's right. Yeah, if you do a video at farmersforfreetrade.com, it uploads into a video gallery where it's right there on the website. You can go there and see farmers from all over Illinois who have done those videos. And then those, again, we can share on social media so others can see farmers talking to farmers. We can send them to the members of Congress to say, here's what a farmer in your district is saying. So it's a real effective way to talk directly about these issues. I'll make another plug, really easy thing, and a lot of farmers in Illinois have done this. I think we've had probably upward of 500 plus farmers who have taken this action. We've made it really easy to send a letter to your member of Congress. If you care about trade issues and specifically want to see the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement get passed, that's the agreement that President Trump negotiated. If you want to see Congress move on that trade agreement, create some stability, all you got to do is take out your phone and text to the number 52886. So that's the phone number you're texting to, 52886. And you text the letters USMCA. So that stands for the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA. So text USMCA to 52886. It'll send you a link. You put in your information. It finds out who your member of Congress is based on your address. It has a letter already drafted for you. You can change the letter if you want. And you push send, and the letter will go to your senators and to your local congressmen, and we'll urge them to pass the USMCA. So, again, text USMCA to 52886.
Excellent. Hey, we're out of time, Brian. Thanks so much. We may hear from you guys in the northern part of Illinois tomorrow, but thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll talk more.
All right, Brian Keel, Farmers for Free Trade. Kirby Wagner, Illinois Farm Bureau. Jim Minard at Purdue. We'll talk weather at the State Climatologist's Office next on upcoming here on a Tuesday, RFD
More
Today.
Farm news and information ahead. Stay tuned for more RFD Today here on the Illinois Farm Bureau Radio Network.
RFD Radio Network's Jim Taylor connects rural routes for you. You can trust Jim every morning for your overnight markets. He gets up early to help keep farmers on top of their game. Here's a bit about his rural routes.
I have the opportunity to cover something different every day and provide listeners with up-to-date markets, news they need to do their job and be successful, from legislative issues to crop updates and weather, of course.
Be it routes or routes, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
Attention corn farmers. Your corn checkoff dollars are working with the U.S. Meat Export Federation to grow red meat export volumes. Because when we're exporting beef, we're also exporting corn. The beef industry consumes 28% of all corn fed to livestock, plus additional corn in the form of DDGs, a co-product of ethanol production. Now that's what we call working an angle. Your checkoff is working corn from all angles. Because of the Illinois Corn Marketing Board, your profitability is our bottom line. A message from the Illinois Corn Checkoff.
It's where your home is built, your landscape is planted, and your children play. Land is all around us, so Illinois farmers have dedicated years to learning how to best care for it. Today, we're bridging modern knowledge with resources from Mother Nature to promote natural soil activity and choosing crops that enhance soil health. To learn more about conservation efforts, visit ilfarmersconserve.com. Preserving our water, protecting our land, providing our food.
This message brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau.
Farmers value clean water, and every day they're working to leave the land, air, and water in better shape for their families, neighbors, and future generations. In recent years, federal agencies have muddied the waters with overreaching rules and regulations that are more about controlling land than protecting water. The new Clean Water Rule announced by the Environmental Protection Agency and Army Corps provides clarity so farmers can comply with the law while protecting the environment, growing crops, and tending livestock. The new rule would end years of uncertainty over where federal jurisdiction begins and ends. Now's the time to make your voice heard. Text WATERS to 52886 and support the new Clean Water Rule proposed by the EPA and Army Corps. Don't wait. The 60-day comment period has begun, so text WATERS to 52886. Contact your local county farm bureau for more information on clean water and clear rules.
Warmer weather means a longer honeydew list. Your county farm bureau can help you stay on top of your project list and save you money along the way. A Farm Bureau membership offer includes discounts on equipment and supplies from Grainger, plus free shipping on all standard Grainger products. Browse thousands of items from landscaping equipment to power tools. Anything you need to get the job done, Grainger has it. Not a Farm Bureau member? Call us at 309-557-2689 or visit Illinois Farm Bureau online and join today.
All right, welcome back to RFD today on a Tuesday. I'm DeLoss Yankee. Kirby Wagner is joining us in studio here, Assistant Director of Transportation and Local Government at IFB. Kirby, how are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Excellent. New blog posts will be coming soon in your view from the road. UCR registration fees were due, well, last weekend, weren't they? I mean, that deadline is passed.
Enforcement has begun on the UCR. March 31st was the deadline for the 2019 fees.
So if I miss that, may want to get on that and pay that pretty quickly.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah. Don't want to have that. I actually drove a year one time. I drove a year without just with my own tag. Totally forgot about it. Came back and so I was awfully lucky. I didn't get pulled over at all. But inspections can be part of the business for trucks. So these aren't to be left to chance by any means.
Yeah, sometimes inspections are little thought of and easy to forget, but there are some inspection requirements for trucks.
That's the next blog post, isn't it? We're talking about inspections?
That's what's coming out this week. There's been some changes, in fact, for 2 years in a row for truck inspections, or at least the frequency of them.
How often do they have to be checked?
Well, first you got to
oh boy, here we go. Interstate and intrastate, right?
Yep.
Right?
You got to go back to the definitions. I think I've hammered interstate versus intrastate for like 2-3 months now, but It's important. And those definitions show up when it comes to truck inspections. If you operate in interstate commerce, you're required to have an inspection once a year, unless otherwise exempted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now there is no exemption from the intrastate inspection. So if you operate in intrastate commerce, you're going to be required to get some level of inspection performed. So the changes, officially January 1st, 2018, truck, tractors, and semi-trailers operated in intrastate commerce are allowed to get an inspection once a year. They used to get 6 months. So that change took place in 2018.
Okay.
So those guys got a little relief.
Now, if I'm getting an inspection, I assume I'm paying for the inspection as well.
Paying for the inspection. Offhand, I'm not sure what the price is, but yeah, there's an inspection. It's not astronomical. And I said there was an exemption from the interstate inspection. It's good to get your truck inspected. It's not a bad idea to have a qualified mechanic give that truck a good look around once a year.
Well, you're carrying a load of a certain weight over a certain distance. It's probably not a bad thing to just make sure that thing's up to snuff.
Just like it's a good idea to keep doing that daily inspection, that daily walk around. It's just a good idea. Make sure you're safe out there on the road, because there's no exemption from the roadside inspection. If you're out there on the road, you can get pulled over. State officer can go ahead and inspect your truck.
Gotcha. So yeah, you have to be prepared for that anyway. So you might as well know that everything's up to snuff. So it's probably conceivable then people could be on the other side of the county from each other. You and Kevin Run give all these presentations around, and your answer is probably usually depends. And it could even be what side of the county you're on, depending on its geography.
There are a lot of factors in determining how the regulations apply, and it definitely can be regional, because where you're at in the state can impact what operations you do. So, I mean, you could be interstate or intrastate, and that changes your inspection requirement right there on the spot. So,
well, your home county, Woodford County, someone on the western edge that may deal with the river much more directly than someone clear on the east side who may have different options for what they do with crops, for example.
Absolutely. There's thousands of markets in the state of Illinois, and so it can be difficult, and that's why we try to help kind of explain those definitions.
Okay, so now intrastate went from 6 months to a year.
For truck, tractors, and semi-trailers.
Okay.
Now, additionally, for straight trucks, now it changed a little bit too. Yeah.
All right, okay.
Straight trucks, when we're looking at inspections, goes by registered weight, so you're looking at the license plate. And for straight trucks registered for 10,001 pounds to 26,000 pounds, they now can get inspected once a year.
Okay.
If you're 8,001 pounds to 10,000 pounds, or if you're registered for 26,001 pounds or more, 6 months.
6 months.
So they took out that guy in the middle and said, hey, you can get a 12-month inspection too. The others have 6.
Huh. And what about for interstate commerce?
Interstate commerce, regardless, is once a year.
Oh, okay.
So I mentioned, and I think it was 2 months ago, covered farm vehicles are exempt from that once-a-year inspection. but not a good idea to forego that.
So I get a receipt, I get a certification, I get some piece of paper, I get a sticker.
You get an inspection sticker, goes on the vehicle.
Okay. I was going to ask then about, just making sure that you're showing your compliance.
Yep, that's
you
one way
the sticker
to tell.
you put on the sticker.
Yep, there will be a date on that sticker, tells you when you're due, and you just need to make sure you keep that sticker up to date.
Okay. So if it's changed from 6 months to a year, and it's been about 6 months since I've had one, how soon do I need to go in?
You'd go in so you're going to go by that inspection sticker. So once the current inspection sticker you have expires, that's when you go in and the change will occur.
Okay. Hopefully this is something. When I lived in Missouri, there was vehicle inspections every year before you renewed your plates, and there was like one place in a town of 40,000 where you could get this done because it only cost $5, and so the repair guys are like, "Why are we doing this? It's only $5." So hopefully it's easier for truckers to get this done.
One would hope, but it once again depends on where you're at in the state. I've heard, Kevin and I have been all over the state this winter. We've heard mixed reaction. There's guys who got to travel 25 miles.
Mm-hmm.
There's guys who got to travel even further just to get their truck inspected. So I know it can be difficult, but that's what it takes. You got to get it done.
The only reason why it gets put off.
Yep.
Yeah, because especially if I'm going in a different direction or something like that.
Yep. You got to plan it. It can throw off your day.
Yeah. Well, got to get it done. So get it done. So that will be the next blog post you can see from Kirby's View from the Road at farmweeknow.com. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Kirby Wagner at Illinois Farm Bureau will talk about the Purdue CME Group Ag Economy Barometer next. And then we'll talk April forecast coming up as well. Increased chance of El Nino. We've got that going for us, hopefully. But we'll talk about that and more on RFD today.
When it comes to social media, Sabrina Berkowitz connects rural routes for you. Sabrina covers a broad range of ag topics, so Farm Bureau members are the first to know about key issues. Here's a bit about her rural roots.
I grew up with a grain and livestock farm in my extended family, and today I really enjoy helping people learn how to use social media to advocate for agriculture.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
I used to say I was an Illinois Farm Bureau member because it gives us farmers a voice in Washington. Then there was a bad regulation proposed in my community. That's when I learned what my county Farm Bureau does for me right here in my own backyard. From giving scholarships to local kids to tackling township or zoning concerns, Farm Bureau starts right here. And now, that's why I say I'm a member.
Call your county Farm Bureau and rediscover your grassroots power.
Let's check the markets on the RFD Radio Network. I'm DeLoss Yankee. We are mixed now. Soybeans, which started lower, have moved up 1 to 2 cents. Corn is down a half right now on most of the nearby contracts. May corn down a half, 361 1/4. July down a half, 370 1/2. December down a fraction, 388 1/2. May soybeans are now up 1 3/4. July up 1 3/4, 910 1/2. November up 2 1/4. 930 1/2. And May wheat down 3 1/4, 459 1/2. July down 3 3/4, 464 1/4. Hogs are sharply higher today. April up $1.60, $79. May up $2.30, $83.30. April cattle up 15, $126.32. June up 20, $119.67. This is the RFD Radio Network.
Years of horses, 40 years of legends. It's the Midwest Horse Fair.
Best horse fair in the nation right here.
This is fun for families because there's so many different aspects of horses that they can see.
And there's top-of-the-line clothing and apparel and boots and hats and ropes and trinkets and gifts. The shopping is off the charts here. I hope you guys are ready because this is going to get wild.
It's the great Midwest Horse Fair.
April 12th through the 14th at the Alliant Energy Center in Madison, Wisconsin. Visit MidwestHorseFair.com for more.
All right, welcome back. This is RFD Today. We're going to try to track down Jim Mindert. Cardinals won yesterday. I was going to at least give him something nice to talk about, but we'll get into the Purdue CME Ag Economy Barometer in just a little bit. Kirby Wagner's still here. If you can push that red button right there. Are you doing any more? Are you still over the road? Any more seminars left?
Our winter seminars have concluded, so we don't have any on the schedule.
I was going to say it'd probably be hard this time of year. I mean, the meeting schedule just disappears this time of year.
Yep, usually ends about last week of March, so we concluded things last week and getting guys outside.
I didn't ask this before, but this is what we were talking about with registrations, though, is just another example where someone's, their brain blows up. They don't want to think about this sort of things, but they could call you and Kevin, and we could slowly walk through this process and hopefully get stuff figured out.
That's why I'm here. And I know it's confusing, and there's a lot of ifs, ands, buts, and thens, and so that plays into it. And we understand it's confusing. That's why one of the reasons we present the book. We have a booklet on Illinois Farm Bureau website that seems to give a good basis for at least their starting point for guys who are trying to understand some of the regs.
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes on these things, it might take 2 or 3 different methods of learning. I could read it, and maybe it makes sense if someone tells it to me, but if I have a different kind of enforcement, it might work better that way.
Yeah, there's so many different ways of looking at it, and you got to look at it at the standpoint of, guys are operating out there, and this is how they understand it, and this is the way they see it, and that's why it's helpful where I grew up in truck and I grew up in farming, so I take that approach when I'm working with our guys. Working with the state agencies kind of gives some of the technical background where I'm hoping to help out our members. I know it's difficult.
Yeah. You guys pretty wet over the home place?
Yeah, it's been pretty wet. I think it is everywhere.
Yeah. That old soaking rain over the weekend was not asked for by any means.
No, it doesn't help. It's not good for road surfaces either, and the road beds, so that's been another issue. Road postings.
So these county roads, these township roads, potholes and some of them over the last couple of years, I even think about road close to home that, you didn't notice it before, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, this thing got patched here, and here, and now it's almost like courthouse steps. But that's just the difficulty of what we've had to face weather-wise and also financially, All we can afford is to patch it, and we can't tear it up and put it back together again.
Yeah, there's been a lot of issues with road maintenance, and Illinois is falling more and more behind on those maintenance repairs and doing all that work. And so everybody's scrambling, all the industry groups are scrambling to try to find a way to get around that and to help out. I know the county and township roads are taking a hit. Especially after all the snow we had, plows were out, and the roads are damaged. So,
part of the deal.
Part of the way it works.
All right. So if folks have questions, call Kevin, call you, and get it figured out.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, sir. Kirby Wagner, Illinois Farm Bureau, Assistant Director of Transportation and Local Government. Man, that's rolling off the tongue now. It took me a long time to get that figured out, but we got that figured out. So. Give him a call if you have any questions about transportation. Let me give you a little bit about the CME Group Ag Economy Barometer. Drifted a little bit lower in March. The reading was 133, down from a 136. The index of future expectations declined. The index of current conditions was actually unchanged, but future expectations was a little bit lower. The large farm investment index rebounded to a reading of 57. After being 50 just a little bit just a month earlier. A lot of interesting things on here. You can find it at ag.purdue.edu, but then after you read the barometer, be sure to go back and look at a 2-year or 4-year school in Illinois to consider. But at least for the barometer, ag.purdue.edu. And Carson Edwards. Can we get Carson Edwards on the phone? We could talk to him a little bit about after the performance he put on during the NCAA tournament, but unfortunately not enough to get Purdue. We did get one Big Ten school in the Final Four. And not only did we get a Big Ten school in the Final Four, we got one that Illinois beat. So we got that going for us. We'll latch on to whatever we can into the current situations. Okay, let me try this last name. I'm going to go with Kristovich. At the Office of the State Climatologist. Dave, did I get it right?
Yes, that's good.
Kristovich. So Ovich, so we're talking about a Serbian name. Ovich means son of, so son of Christ in this case. How about that?
Yes. Yes, right. That's what I've always heard.
Yeah. How about that? So, Office of State Climatologist with some information for March. I saw on the blog post confirmed what I think we would all think about March: cooler and wetter than normal.
Yes, that's right. It's started off the month with very cold temperatures, and with several places seeing below zero temperatures, and then wet for the remaining part of the month. And overall, we were about 4.16 inches of precipitation statewide on average.
Wow. I saw National Weather Service. I was going through that Monday and just seeing all these different places that had more precipitation than average. If you go, and then thinking about the first 3 months of the year as well, and I saw Paducah, Kentucky is already more than 20 inches of precip this month, or the first 3 months of the year, or at least 10 inches more than average. So, different parts of the state, different extremes and all that, but certainly some concerning numbers since January 1.
Absolutely right. And it's been high across much of the country. And even here in Illinois, we had much of the central part of the state had more than 2 times normal percent of normal precipitation for March. On the other hand, the good news is that the drought index for the country is at its lowest point in many years now.
Well, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, the drought index used to have all kinds of different colors to it. I did see something today that and I've read this before about expectations and better chances of spring flooding this year in a large part of the Midwest. Now, I assume that takes into account what folks have already been through and are currently going through. Is that a continuation into April and May about possibilities of more flooding this year?
Yes, actually, that's a very big concern. You had brought up what they take into account. Several things are taken into account: the amount of moisture in the soil, the amount of rain places have received where there's ongoing flooding. And it looks like for Illinois, near the Mississippi River, especially in the northwest, the spring outlook is for major flooding.
Ooh. Hold that thought right there. We have a break. We'll come back. We'll discuss that some more here on RFD today. Let's check livestock markets on the RFD Radio Network. I'm DeLoss Yankee. Steers and heifers in Greenville last week. High choice. Slaughter steers were up $1 to $2 a hundredweight. Steers with a top of $128 for choice. Heifers $127. High dressing steers to $132. Heifers $131. Prime lots hit $136 for steers. Heifers $135. Low select and choice from $113 to $121. 6-weight feeder steers range $110 up to $145. 7 weights $95 to $115. 5-weight heifers $130 to $150. 6 weights $95 to $125. Illinois direct hog market held firm Monday, $46 to $55 a hundredweight. We've seen lean hog futures move up considerably the past couple of weeks, and the cash hog market also much stronger. Sow market was firm, $29 to $36 for lights, $43 for heavyweights. DeLoss Yankee, RFD Radio Network.
How do people benefit from raising livestock here in Illinois? Rich Giebert, Illinois farmer, president of the Illinois Farm Bureau.
Well, growing up on a livestock farm was always interesting, and I enjoy it more today than I did back then. But it did give me the opportunity to have a good work ethic, learn to get up in the morning. And that was difficult during my senior days at high school and college days. I had a tendency not to go to bed at a respectable hour. But no, it was always enjoyable on the farm and getting up before daybreak and milking the cows and getting the chores done and then go about the rest of the day's business.
Illinois Farm Bureau, along with beef, corn, milk, pork, and soybean associations, make up the Livestock Development Group, supporting the Illinois livestock sector. For more information, check out illinoislivestock.org.
All right, welcome back to RFD Today. Final segment on a Tuesday. We're visiting with Dave Kristovich at the U of I and the Office of the State Climatologist. And just before the break, you made a mention of, I believe you said major flooding, especially in parts of northern Illinois. If you could elaborate on that.
Certainly, yes. The spring flood outlook for these starting in March through June basically is calling for potential of major flooding, especially along the northwest corner of the state and portions of the northmost parts of Illinois. All along the west all along the west portions of Illinois, moderate flooding is a risk. And even in the east central parts of the state, minor flooding is a possibility.
And we're talking about through April, through May, or what are you thinking?
This is the overall outlook for March through May.
Gotcha. Wow, that'll take us for a while. It's just even things like 8 to 14 outlooks, 6 to 10 day outlooks, that sort of thing, because we have the temperatures that are going to warm for us, but at the same time, looks like we're not out of the woods yet, certainly not in the near term from a rainfall standpoint.
No, the outlooks are really looking quite wet for this area, at least increased chances of wetness. In April, they're saying there's a 33% chance of above normal precipitation in Illinois. That type of pattern extends right on through the spring months, April, May, and June.
Wow. And what we're talking about as well with northwest Illinois in particular. So we're dealing with, rainfall from last year still, not to mention snow to the north and making its way down. I mean, this isn't just something that's happening right now, but this is probably a combination of things that have happened over several months.
That's right. Yeah, we've been in this pattern since late fall of 2018, and it continues to be wet. And the best chances for it to continue to be wet still look to be in the western parts of the state.
Wow. Now, I thought I had read somewhere, I have no idea where I saw it, but an increased chances of an El Nino in 2019. Is that necessarily a thing? And depending on when it arrives, what that might mean.
At the moment, El Nino is still on the weak El Nino pattern, and everything I've heard suggests that at least for a while that's expected to continue.
Gotcha. All right. So just now that we're into April and still early, don't want to say too much about planting concerns at this point since it is still April, but at the same time, at what point can we shut this rain off? But then if you say we want to shut the rain off, sometimes it doesn't come back on. But looks like this looks like a continued, consistent, wet outlook for the time being.
Yes, I would say that at least based on the patterns predicted by NOAA. Precipitation and soil moisture are probably going to be on the wet side.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Dave. Thanks so much, and we'll visit with you guys down the road. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. Bye-bye now.
Dave Kristovich, U of I, and the Office of the State Climatologist. If you go to their website, you can find some of the information for the month. Preliminary statewide average precipitation was 4.16 inches, 1.2 inches more than the long-term average. Heaviest March precip fell across central and southern portions of the state, where 4 to 6 inches were common, and 5 of their stations had more than 6 inches of precip for the month. Statewide temperature in March averaged 36.6 degrees, 4.7 degrees less than the long-term average. And first full week of March, we had temperatures 15 to 25 degrees less than average, pretty common across the state. The minimum temperature, the lowest reading in the state was negative 12 in Cook County at the Little Red Schoolhouse Station. That was on the 5th of March. And then Dixon hit 76 degrees on the 13th. How about that? That's quite a change. Just 1 week's time, that was a difference of 88 degrees. But you could find that just by Googling Illinois State Climatologist. So, Kristovich, I mentioned, that's Serbian. So we say Vala, H-V-A-L-A. That's thank you if you're speaking Serbian. And I would say, if I were to say hello, I would say, I would say Dobar dan, which means good day. Kako ste vi, how are you? Moj ime je Delos. I don't get very many chances to speak Serbian, and so we did it right here when you get the chance to talk to a guy named Kristovich. On the program, later in the week, we'll talk to Kevin Rund tomorrow. We'll talk to Lee Strom, Todd Lowry at the Ag Leadership Foundation with an update on what they've been going through in the spring. Eric Ift will be in on Thursday with Bayer Crop Science. He's also involved with Certified Crop Advisors of Illinois. So we'll talk about late spring, and by being with Bayer, we'll also talk about compliance with soybean sprays and weed management, which could be even more of an issue this year, given the wet spring that we've had and the fact that we didn't get much field work done in the fall either, and what to deal with weed populations this year. Mike Doherty on Friday, our chief economist, senior economist at the Illinois Farm Bureau, also Gene Payne at the Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association. They will all be coming up later in the week on RFD Today. I'm DeLoss Yankee saying watch your ends. We'll be back in studio tomorrow.
More farm news and information ahead. Stay tuned for more RFD Today here on the Illinois Farm Bureau Radio Network.